Hello and welcome to Triple B, Big Blue Banter. I'm Aaron Benjamin.
And I'm Sanaya Johnson. Kentucky was finally able to end their 3-game skid last weekend in Starkville. Here in Lexington, this week is another back-breaking challenge as the Alabama Crimson Tide come to town. This Saturday will be Alabama's 4th trip to Lexington this century and their first in a decade. The Crimson Tide started the year slow but have seemed to hit their peak at the right time of the year. But it could be the worst time for the Cats. Here's what Mark Stoops says about Saturday's matchup.
Alabama is a team that you can see that is getting better and better. A typical Nick Saban team that is very big, very physical, very talented, and extremely well coached. And seem to be getting better and stronger as the year goes on. And that'll be a big challenge for us just to match their physicality. Once again, I'll call on our fans to wake up at noon and you know what. And they should be ready to roll. Big game, and we need it. We need a great atmosphere. They have responded all year, and we greatly appreciate that. And we're looking forward to getting out there, getting to practice this week, getting better, and preparing for Alabama.
The Cats will be in front of a sold-out crowd on Saturday. And the Cats will be in front of a sold-out crowd on Saturday, and they will need all of their help to have a chance against the Tide. The game will be aired on ESPN at noon.
Joining the show now is reporter Seth Martin, here to help break down some UK football.
This week, we're going to talk about the Wildcats' most recent win against the Mississippi State Bulldogs and the pros and cons from the game. First, we'll start with the positives.
The Kentucky defense did a great job at limiting the Bulldogs' offense, holding them to only 218 offensive yards. This defense was key for the Cats to come away with the victory, and they showed up and gave the offense more time on the field, which proved to be very significant. Speaking of the offensive side of the ball, quarterback Devin Leary looked more comfortable as he threw for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. In past games, the offense has been really reliant on the run game. However, in this game, the passing game was more prevalent, which is good for the Cats. Another positive being that UK snapped the streak of not beating an SEC West opponent on the road under Mark Stoops. That's wild that was even a stat, but we're all good now. The streak's broken. Seth, what can Kentucky improve upon after this game?
Well, I was down there in Starkville myself this past weekend, and like you mentioned, there were a lot of positives, but there clearly are still some weak spots on the field. Starting off with the negatives, the offense is still slow. We've hammered this throughout as fans have talked about it this season. Kentucky ranks dead last in plays per game, even behind Iowa. And when you're behind Iowa on offense, you know it's pretty bad. I watched 2 drives stall out myself with bad execution and bad play calling, to be honest. And there just needs to be no more of that at this time of the year. Also, the running game has not been the same, but one thing they could rely on is gone now. Ray Davis did have 80 yards this past game, but he didn't even average 4 yards a carry. I admit there were some bigger runs towards the end of the game, but as it stands right now, the run game is nowhere near what it was in September. And also missed tackles. There's still a huge issue on the defensive side. And on Mississippi State's one successful drive that lasted nearly 13 minutes, that was the headline: Kentucky missed tackles. You can't let a bad team like that take you down the field simply due to bad tackling.
SEC Nation is traveling to Lexington this weekend for the Kentucky versus Alabama game. If you would like to go watch Laura Rutledge, Paul Feinbaum, Roman Harper, Jordan Rogers, and Tim Tebow break down the game to come, the show will take place on Saturday at 10 a.m. outside of Gate 12 at Kroger Field.
A team not as popular as football, but dominant in its own right, is in the midst of its own season. Samantha Money has more.
Barker Hall is a mere 100 feet from Kentucky's dining hall. Yet most students don't know that within its walls is a team that holds the second most national titles in UK athletics history. The Kentucky Rifle team has won 4 national championships since 2011, coming in this past season in 3rd place after being back-to-back champions in 2021 and 2022. The Wildcats are starting off the season hot and hungry for another title.
You know, we're at that growing point of really wanting to perform at a super high level and trying to find that comfort zone at the start. And we're just about there. It's kind of like we're at the doorway, knocking on the door, and we just got to walk through the threshold, so to speak.
Kentucky continued its undefeated season after triumphing over Ole Miss on Sunday, with Sophia Cesarello leading the way. The Italy native is a consistent high individual scorer this season and was just a point shy of a perfect air rifle score against the Rebels.
It's definitely it can definitely give me good feedbacks because still it's a nice great score. Obviously, there's always this 9 that doesn't allow me to shoot a 6 under, but still I'm really happy because it's a good accomplishment anyway.
Even producing Olympic gold medalists, Kentucky Rifle has some talented athletes students won't want to miss in action. Reporting for Big Blue Banter, I'm Samantha Money.
Kentucky Rifle's last home game before the holidays is this Saturday, November 11th against Memphis at 8 a.m. inside Barker Hall.
Coming up, we will hear about a job in sports nutrition at UK, plus Seth Martin is back again this week for Betting Banter.
We'll be right back.
But I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Today, we're diving deeper into UK athletics through the lens of a student working in sports nutrition. Here's Aiden Paris reporting from the Joe Kraft Center with more behind the scenes.
UK athletics has long been one of the largest collegiate brands in the country. While Kentucky's athletes are some of the best in the nation, there are a number of moving parts that make Kentucky's program tick. One of those driving forces are the nutrition staff. I sat down with a UK sports nutrition student to find out more.
I work in the Nutrition Fuel Zone Center, which is it's down below in the basement of the Joe Kraft Center, which is where basketball practices, volleyball practices, women's basketball is here. All three of those teams are here every day doing their own thing. The job just kind of goes in of like making sure everything stays stocked all the time, making sure everything's always filled up so there's never like anything missing. I feel like at times I think it's a underappreciated part of like the athlete's career and like their day-to-day of like making sure they're fueled right and everything, and it really is like a big part of making sure they're at their peak performance.
This work plays a pivotal role in the preparation and maintaining of athletes' health every day. But Ethan himself later emphasized the sheer scale of the athletics operation and how he views every role's importance.
There are so many people that go into it, and that's what I've learned, like working in football, working here, that the amount of people to make everything go just right, like make sure game days start on time, make sure the floors are clean, make sure the athletes have everything they need. I think what makes my work important is just actually seeing like the athletes perform on the game days and seeing them be able to perform at their peak performance because we know they're fueled right. We know we're trying to stay on top of them, make sure they get food into them, make sure they're hydrated to prevent cramping, and really just trying to stay on top of it. And just seeing like the players perform at their best is like really a cool way to see like your actual work being done.
This is just one part of a bigger picture, but the athletics program is its own team striving for success. And people like Ethan, along with many others, are what keep UK's athletes bringing their best day in and day out. Reporting for your Big Blue Banter, I'm Aiden Paris.
The Wildcats are now back in season, and the hard work for the athletes as well as staffers behind the scenes will now be on full display. If Kentucky is to meet expectations or even raise them, it will take everyone in the facility to make it happen.
In this week's edition of Betting Banter, we get to see what games are coming up and how you could potentially place your bets. Our very own Seth Martin is back again to help guide you.
Welcome back to another edition of Betting Banter, and may I say, I've been on a heater the last 2 weeks. I'm 8-2 over the last 2 weeks, and let's keep it rolling and get ahead to these picks. First off, I got Duke tomorrow night covering at home against the Arizona Wildcats. They got a great roster. They're ranked to number 2 for a reason, and it's a home game at Cameron Indoor. They're going to roll. Next up, I got the game here in Lexington, Bama covering in town. I got them covering 10.5 easily in Lexington. That seems eerily low to me, while Bama has seemed to been hitting its peak, while Kentucky has been mediocre, to say best, for the last month. Tide rolls. Up next, I got Michigan covering the 4.5 spread on the road in Beaver Stadium. This would be a different line if it was at nighttime with Penn State and that whiteout crowd at night, but this being one of those Fox big noon games and the Wolverine having a chip on their shoulder, showing they don't need to steal signs to win, they're going to win this big time on the road in Pennsylvania. And up next, we got the good old Iowa over-under. You can always bank on them. Once again, after setting a record last week, they set it again with the lowest over-under total in college football history at 28, and we're still taking the under, ride or die until it ends. And last but not least, I got the 49ers to cover 3 on the road in Jacksonville. The 49ers are coming off a much-needed bye with their injured roster, and they added another elite pass rusher at the trade deadline in Chase Young. I got Brock Purdy turning things around and taking back control of this division. That is all for Betting Banter today. Aaron and Sanaya, back to you.
This Tuesday, the Kentucky Wildcats will take on the number 1 Kansas Jayhawks in Chicago for the State Farm Championship Classic. The tournament will also include Michigan State and Duke.
The last time Kentucky and Kansas went head-to-head was in January earlier this year. Kansas pulled out the win by 9. The game is set to tip off at 9:30 p.m. Now we will go to Samantha Money for the recap on the Wildcats' previous games.
Kentucky basketball had its season opener on Monday at Rupp Arena, defeating the New Mexico State Aggies 86-46. The Wildcats had 5 players score in double digits, something that hasn't happened since Kentucky played Vanderbilt back in January of this year. Leading those scorers was Rob Dillingham with 17 points and Trey Mitchell with 9 rebounds. Kentucky got off to a slightly slow offensive start, shooting 38% from the field in the first half. But after making a tweak, head coach John Calipari implemented a term he called random basketball. This is when all 5 players on the court, he said, can pass, shoot, and dribble. The randomness worked, and Kentucky went on to end the game on a 17-0 run. Before heading to Chicago to take on Kansas, the Wildcats will play Texas A&M Commerce tomorrow night at 7 p.m. inside Rupp Arena. Aaron and Sanaya, back to you.
When we come back, we'll get to see a Harvard professor who ran across the country.
Stay tuned.
For the end, I think we're good.
Sarah, you've got this, okay? But they lost.
Not really. Not where it counts.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. Why? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Footballer Luis Diaz's father has been freed from Colombia's Episcopal Conference. Says Luis Manuel Diaz was kidnapped by the National Liberation Army guerrilla group. We thank God for the release of Mr. Luis Diaz. An announcement said, Diaz was kidnapped on October 28th in the small town of Burkina in northern Colombia.
Usually, you wouldn't expect your professor to be busy planning lectures or grading an exam, but this isn't the case for Jenny Hoffman, who spent the start of her month running from coast to coast. She ran all the way from San Francisco to New York City. She started the nearly 3,000-mile Intrepid trek on September 16th with a plan to average 60 miles a day last Friday. Hoffman finished the journey in New York City in under 48 days. If confirmed, she will have beaten the standing world record by more than a week. That's crazy. That is really crazy that she finished it that fast.
Yeah, I can barely run a mile without getting tired. So, you know, that's just me.
Yeah.
But that's all for Big Blue Banter for today. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you again next Thursday. You don't want to miss it. Have a great night. Yeah, I should have said